Celtics coming up in a half hour from Boston, called by Brian Anderson and Chris Webber, as we welcome you to TNT NBA Tip-Off, presented by CarMax from Studio J in Atlanta. Ernie Johnson along with Shaquille O'Neal and Kenny the Jet Smith, Charles Barkley. You're going to hear from them in just a second. When we spoke with Commissioner Adam Silver last night as the NBA season opened, we discussed the possibility of COVID causing the postponement of games. Little did we know that 24 hours later, it would happen. Tonight's game in Houston between the Rockets and Thunder was postponed in keeping with the NBA's health and safety protocols. The league released a statement about 90 minutes ago, and that statement reads, 3 Houston Rocket players have returned tests that were either positive or inconclusive for coronavirus under the NBA's testing program. Following the contact tracing protocol, 4 other players are quarantined at this time. Additionally, James Harden is unavailable due to a violation of the health and safety protocols. All other Rocket players were tested again today and all returned negative tests. Houston has 1 additional player who is unavailable due to injury. As such, the Rockets do not have the league-required 8 available players to proceed with tonight's game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So what we talked about last night has come to pass here on night 2 of the NBA season, and apparently right in the middle of all of this in Houston, it was haircuts at an apartment where Kenyon Martin Jr. was, and John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins. And so the contact tracing, those guys were sent home because Kenyon Martin had a positive test. So, and then you have the James Harden part of this equation too, as the league continues to investigate the videos that have surfaced of him, out at a party without a mask. It's a mess in Houston right now.
Yeah, Kenny.
What?
It's your team.
It's not my team. That's my. If it was my team, they wouldn't be there doing that. But I'll tell you what. Disappointed in James. I think overall, he's a face of the league. One of the faces. He is the face of the franchise. You just think he would be more responsible, because we all know that you could catch the virus being responsible, and so to catch it and possibly catch it or breaking his protocol being irresponsible, you just wouldn't expect that from a veteran of his type. We all, or everyone in the world is feeling the constraints of being under mask and under all of these constraints. So we all understand how he could feel, but we're just surprised, and I'm just disappointed. The other players, like I said, getting a haircut, trying to be, getting ready for the game, that is not unusual.
Yeah.
And maybe maybe the circumstances was maybe the person wasn't wearing a mask, but that's not an unusual circumstance in Houston, where barbershops are actually open, I believe.
Well, this was at a player's apartment.
But this is at someone's house, which is trying to be a little safer.
Yeah,
because barbershops are actually open in Houston and things open. I'm just disappointed more in James.
Well, first of all, anybody who don't wear a mask is just a fool now. It's to the point where it's just silly. It's not political. It's not even just about you. You would not want to get somebody sick who has an underlying condition. You might be a big stud, but you never know what anybody's got, whether it's your mother, your grandmother, your wife, or somebody, your girlfriend or whoever. So you got to wear a mask, man. It's to the point now where it's just silly not to wear a mask.
And reportedly, James has told NBA investigators, and this according to reports I've seen in the media, that he felt he was obeying protocol the entire time. The league continues to look at.
If you're not wearing a mask, you're not obeying protocol. If you're out in public.
Yeah, Adam Silver and the NBA, they laid out guidelines, and that from now until June, July, the guys must follow these guidelines, or you're gonna put your team in jeopardy. I'm not gonna get into where James was at, what he was doing. I can't confirm that. I could just see what everybody else is seeing, but I'm a little with Kenny. When you're the leader of the team, you have to be a little bit more responsible. And again, there's rules, regulations, and guidelines from yesterday all the way to the finals, and you have to follow.
And that's what made the bubble successful. It wasn't the protocols. I said this yesterday to Adam Silver. I'm like, it was the fact that the guys followed them. Like, they followed everything. They took all the tests. They swiped the cards to get in certain places. Couldn't let people go. As a whole, 99.5%. Don't matter. But 99.5% of guys actually followed it because somebody would have been like, you know what, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm just tired of doing this, or I'm going to disobey because I'm feeling constrained. That's what makes it work, not but the rules. It's you following the rules.
Anytime, any player, well, not just a player, any person right now who goes to a public place without a mask is just an idiot. Like, he said he wanted to go somewhere, that is fine. But the notion that any person would go somewhere publicly with other strangers and not have a mask on. Now, if you got a mask on and you want to go do something, hey.
What about eating? Because it's like I'm in Georgia. California, we're closed. I live in California. I come here and they're like, well, you can walk in with your mask, and this has nothing to do with James, but just in general. Like, the problem
I wear my mask into restaurants and take it off when I'm eating. But I'm not eating.
You're like this.
Yeah, I'm not eating. There's nobody close to me. That's different, Kenneth.
And when we talked to the league today too. So even if the game were to have been played tonight in Houston, James Harden would not have played because for violating the protocol.
James is better than that.
It's going to continue. The investigation is going to continue. We'll see if there is any kind of further punishment or suspension or anything in those terms. Meantime, let's talk about what we know we're going to watch tonight. We know we're going to watch the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics. And call your shot, presented by CarMax. Is this a better Bucks team with the changes made, Kenny?
Not more talented, but it still might be a better fit.
Oh, come on.
I think Eric Bledsoe, Wes Matthews, and Robin Lopez and Ilyasova are talented players. I don't know if Brian Forbes, Torrey Craig, and Bobby Portis match up to that with George Hill. I don't know that. Drew Holiday is the difference maker. He could be the difference. He fits in better playing with Giannis maybe than Eric. Eric needs the ball a little bit more in his hand. He's a better player. This guy could play off the ball, on the ball. He's a great defender. He just fits better. I don't know if they're more talented, but they might have a better team in the playoffs.
Arnie, we've been saying this. What, you want to ask a question?
I want to do. I want you to speak to the importance, Shaq, of Giannis Antetokounmpo making the decision he did at the time he did, and this not being something that's going to be brought up in questions every time Milwaukee plays a game.
I think it was admirable of him to stay home and not jump ship and go to the bigger cities, because now in the times we live in, it doesn't really matter where you live at. He has a big following in Milwaukee. I remember before he got there, they didn't have any TV games. This is the second night they got a TV game. I'm sure they got a lot more TV games. But the additions that they made, they're cool for the regular season. But again, we've been saying this the last 2-3 years. In the postseason, when you have to slow it down, if you're just going to put Giannis at the top of the key and tell him to go one-on-one, that's not going to work.
See, that's where I think he comes in. Drew Holiday he's a ball handler, but he's a willing passer. He doesn't have to be a great scorer to have the ball. I think that's where he comes in.
Well,
and helps.
I disagree with you guys. I love the trade. I think this team is better. I think the key is going to be Coach Budenholzer. To me, he's the one under the most pressure.
Because you've always talked about him adjusting.
He didn't adjust.
The need to adjust.
They got eliminated the exact same way from the best season record and got beat easily, but instead of giving the ball to Giannis at the top of the key, let him go 1-on-4. That's not going to work in the playoffs. I love Drew Holiday. And let me tell you something, Kenny, it's interesting. I almost called you. I saw a videotape of Drew Holiday guarding Giannis, and he was in his grill.
Wow.
And like he wasn't, because I disagree with you. You say you keep backing up on Giannis. I don't think.
No, I don't think that. No,
I think if you
got to put pressure on him.
You got to put pressure on him. Drew Holiday guarded him in this segment I saw. It might have been on ESPN. He guarded him. He knocked the ball out of his hand probably 3 or 4 times in a row. He says, no, I'm not going to let you eat up space and come at me full speed. I think having that maturity is going to help this team. Listen, I think it moves Chris Middleton to the 3 spot. Now, because this is the second best player on this team right now.
Yeah.
And I think that Chris Middleton is a great 3. He struggled as a number 2 guy, but this guy here ain't scared of anything. And I think, listen, Brooklyn, we knew Brooklyn was going to be really good, but I'm pulling for this kid in Milwaukee because, listen, I ain't never going to like these guys teaming up, trying to win. That don't impress me at all. Because anybody can be a bus rider. When you're a bus driver, that's when I respect you more.
I have a question for the panel, Ernie.
We've got about 30 seconds.
Okay, well, I'll wait.
Okay, thank you.
It's a very important question.
Regular season last 2 years, Bucks 1-16-39. In the postseason, 15-10.
No, that doesn't work.
And they share something with the Boston Celtics. Both had their seasons ended by the Miami Heat in the bubble. Celtics